Square Enix has apparently been able to take the best of Gears of War, Mass Effect, Division, Destiny, and cram all of that into an amazing new IP, along with working with People Can Fly Studios to create Outriders, which you need to play because it's that freaking good. We're going to dive into why. Let's get into it. Before we kick this video off, I want to give a huge shout out to Square Enix for providing a review copy of Outriders. It's an amazing game. I'm so grateful for it. I've had some hype for it over the last couple months, and this game did not disappoint whatsoever. So we're going to be diving into it because this game is such an amalgamation of a bunch of other titles, but at the same time of being an amalgamation or a combination of other titles and designs and gameplay mechanics, it is uniquely its own thing, and it does it so well. So in this video, we're going to do a review of Outriders, talk about what I like about it, what I don't like, the graphics, gameplay, and so much more. So I'm Mekel Kasanova, Hawaii content creator. If you have gotten to this point in the video and you haven't already, make sure you hit the like button. Let's get this video to 100 likes. Sub if you haven't already, and ding the notification bell. That way you stay up to date on all the latest and greatest content that comes from this channel. Now, if you're ready to do it, I'm ready to do it. Let's go ahead and dive into why Outriders is one of the top games of 2021. Let's get into it. In the 22nd century, Earth is no longer able to sustain life due to all the climate disasters that has been occurring, which have caused the livability of the planet to be eroded to the point where humanity has had to make an exodus in order to go to a new planet to survive. You take on the role of the Outrider, and you're tasked with exploring the planet to recover data probes that detail the colonization efforts that happened previously on the planet of Enoch. Something similar for you to, find a level of tangibility. Would look at this as you're a Pathfinder, and this is Mass Effect Andromeda. And there you go. Gameplay. Describing the gameplay of Outriders is easy. It's what happens when you take the core mechanics of Gears of War, mix in some Mass Effect 2 and 3, add a pinch of Destiny 1 and 2, sprinkle in some Division 1 and 2, and you find yourself with a game that is just pure fun. Oh yeah, there's also Warframe as well, so if you're a fan of that franchise, then you're definitely going to enjoy that too. So there's a whole lot of Warframe in this. So okay, back to the review. Outriders is a third-person shooter with loot mechanics, gear customization, and more similar to Destiny, the gunplay and cover system of Gears, and the RPG elements of Mass Effect and Division, and the exploration of something along the lines of Warframe. The controls are very easy to pick up and get used to, especially if you play Gears, because it's almost identical in how it functions, with you having your buttons mapped almost the same way, with the left trigger being your aim down sights or your ADS, right trigger being shoot, A being find cover and sprint, and B being dodge and the like. Basically, think of all you can do in Gears of War, and there you go, and you have a melee button as well, which adds to the flair on top of special abilities that are mapped to the left and right bumper, depending on what you're playing on. If you're playing on PlayStation, it's L1, R1, and on Xbox and PC, it's left and right bumper. Or if you're one of those people that plays with keyboard and mouse like myself, it's whatever you map it to. The core gameplay, aside from being built around what is essentially Gears of War, with its cover-based shooter gameplay, is also inspired by what you would get from mixing Mass Effect, The Division, Destiny, and more, focused on RPG elements for stat-focused gameplay, and learning the pros and cons of every weapon you use and what buffs and debuffs each weapon and piece of armor and attack and skill have. Like Borderlands and the majority of the above, you will be downing enemies and taking their loot and adding to your stash, allowing you to gain more gear to use and craft as you see fit. Yes, I said crafting, as this game allows you to break down any item or weapon you have to its core components in order to craft even greater gear. You have a loadout of 3 weapons that you can cycle through and intermix as you see fit. I personally make sure to carry dual pistols, assault rifle, and shotgun into battle, since I want to be able to keep the chaos flowing and be able to bring the pain. Each attack you do does a certain amount of damage and takes off HP from enemies, and in like turn, your enemies deal damage to your HP as well. You can use your various skills to be able to buff yourself with stat boosts and defensive and offensive bonuses, as well as utilize skills and weaknesses of enemies to debuff them and make them all the weaker and more susceptible to massive damage. Perfect example of that is if you're playing the Devastator class and you use your special ability where you can basically halt all incoming bullets that are coming at you, and basically you can aim them at whatever enemy you want and throw it back at them. It's especially useful when you get those heavy tank-like enemies that just go yeah, those guys, yeah, they get shredded with that ability. Back to the review. There are several classes to choose from based on how you like to play the game. In typical RPG fashion, you've got several classes such as Technomancer, which is a long-range support, which uses gadgets, Pyromancer, which is medium range, Conjurer, and uses fire, Trickster, which is close range, you can do hit-and-run tactics, and you can manipulate space and time, and then my personal favorite, which is Devastator, which is a close-range tank, which allows you to stand your ground. I personally play as a Devastator because I always love playing as a tank in RPGs and being at the forefront of battle. I have access to defensive boosts and all-around chaos-wrecking offensive abilities that can leave my enemies in tatters. The game can be played both in single-player and in online drop-in, drop-out multiplayer. The fun part about the game's multiplayer is the fact that you can play this title cross-platform with friends and strangers across PC, PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Xbox Series X and S, and also Google Stadia. And that cross-play functionality is definitely one of the things that will keep players engaged with this game for years to come. One can say that the game feels easy, and when I say easy, I'm saying easy to the point where it almost feels like you're fighting wave after wave of easy to kill enemies as if you're in a Muso or Dynasty Warriors type of game. And yet all that goes out the window when you start fighting mid-bosses and level bosses, which will curb stomp you into the ground and humble you. The way this game allows me to be incredibly creative in how I go about dealing damage to my enemies is almost a work of art in and of itself, and I absolutely love it. Graphics. Graphically speaking, Outriders looks really good. The character models are all really good, but they certainly look like they could have came straight out of Destiny or even Mad Max with their post-apocalyptic dystopian looks. I've noticed how detailed the world is and how lush it is, and how sometimes the characters in the game look completely out of place and, not on the level of detail as the environment. Your player-created character noticeably stands out from the crowd by looking like let's be honest, like they came out of a created character mode. And, not one native to the story. That's not to say it's a bad thing, it's just something that's noticeable. Audio. This game has superb sound direction, from the voice acting to the soundtrack to the ambience of the flora and fauna to the environmental destruction and every pop-off from a weapon. Everything here sounds excellent. There isn't much for me to dive into here other than the game's audio will make you feel like you're part of its world. Downsides. The only real downside to this game was playing it pre-launch and post-launch because now, look, gameplay, story, everything like that, everything is fine. The biggest problem that this game had, the biggest hurdle it had for weeks, was the fact that the online servers constantly disconnected, and there was a big fiasco with that having so many issues. And thankfully, Square Enix and People Can Fly Studios were able to fix that over the coming weeks, and basically now the game is stable now, but for a while there, it was not stable. And honestly, it was that instability which is the reason why my review for Outriders has been delayed thus so. I've had this game for a couple weeks as of this recording, and while I intended to have a review by the day of release, if not a couple days after, the constant disconnects kept me from being able to fully cover the game and play it, because half the times, like I said, I constantly disconnecting, or I couldn't even log into the game itself. So that was the biggest downside for Outriders. Thankfully, again, as I said, that's been addressed already. The wrap up. This is one of the most fun games I've played, not only of 2021, but in the last several years, and it continues to draw me back in over and over and over again. I am in disbelief at how Square Enix was able to perfectly marry together so many different game genres into one and do so incredibly well to make what will be considered one of the best new IPs of 2021, and will most certainly be up there in the best games of the year. With incredibly fluid controls, a solid, easy to follow story, lavish graphics, phenomenal multiplayer with cross-play built in, again when it works, and an incredibly deep class system and upgrade pathways, Outriders is a game that must be experienced by every gamer out there. I love this game and so will you. And also, if you've got Xbox Game Pass, go and download it. You can play the game so long as you got Game Pass. You don't have to worry about it. You can literally just download it and start playing with your friends on other platforms. I'm a huge proponent of Xbox Game Pass, and I honestly think it's one of the best values in gaming out there. But anyway, that's the review for Outriders. The final verdict is go out and buy it. Again, I want to say thank you to Square Enix for providing a review copy of this game. I was playing and reviewing this on Steam. I dabbled with it on Xbox Series X, and I'm probably going to pick it up on PlayStation 5 just for the sake, because I want to support the game. Any game that I get a review copy of, I end up buying to support the developers, because I really feel like that is something that is imperative to do for us to keep getting more and more new franchises to come out. But enough of my talking. What do you guys think? Is Outriders a game that you're looking forward to? Whatever your thoughts are, let's get the conversation going down in the comment section below. And if you want to take it further, we do have Discord, which you can hop in and meet other people who enjoy video games, content creators, and more. And if you've gotten this far and you haven't already, why haven't you hit the like button? Let's get this video to 100 likes, and also sub to the channel and ding the notification bell. That way you stay up to date all the latest and greatest content that comes from this channel, from reviews, interviews with the gaming and tech industry, also interviews with voice actors and celebrities, other content creators, let's plays, and just, reactions and more. So hit the sub button. All that being said, I'm Mekel Kasanova, Hawaii content creator. I host Hawaii's #1 podcast, the Kasanova Podcast. And if you're looking for streams, I do stream on twitch.tv/Mekel Kasanova, so catch me over there. So all that out of the way, I'll see you in the next one. I want to get back to some Outriders. Deuces wow, too sweet, be the elite. See you on the next one. Peace. Mahalo for making it to the end of the video. I really appreciate your support by those of you who like the videos, who watch and who subscribe. And for those of you who are my Patreon supporters, thank you for your continued support, because you help make this possible. If you enjoy my work and you'd like to support what we do have Patreon on patreon.com/Mekel Kasanova. We also have Coffee as well as Subscribestar. So there's various methods if you want to support the work that we do here. We also have membership, so make sure you check that out. That way you get up to date on all the latest and greatest content that comes here, and first, and exclusive content as well. And if you enjoy the work that I do and you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to the channel. So with that being said, I'm Mekel Kasanova, Hawaii content creator. I hope to see you on the next one. If you haven't already, make sure you hit the subscribe button and ding the notification bell. And all that being said, I'll see you on the next one. Peace.